Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Wanted to make a quick video kind of updating you guys on the Jeep and what I've done to it and what I'm currently doing tonight. I am currently replacing the fuel pump, which is over there. I've dropped this fuel tank probably 5 times at this point. I dropped it to put a cheap eBay fuel pump in it, and I bent the arm, I believe, when I put it in. So I pulled it out, tried bending it back, and I was having some other problems with it, and then I ended up dropping the O-ring into it because I was having trouble getting it on. Long story short, the eBay fuel pump still wasn't solving my hard to start. It would just crank over quite a few times and then it would fire up. I got to the point that if I held my foot on the gas or if I gave it gas a couple times prior to starting, it would start up easier. So I finally just went to O'Reilly's and bought another fuel pump. I wanted Bosch, but they no longer make Bosch and I could not find one. So I just went with O'Reilly's. I believe it's Precision brand. Yeah. But anyways, kind of just wanted to do a quick update, kind of just show you guys where I'm at on the Jeep, what I'm doing, doing the new fuel pump. I don't quite remember the last time I showed you guys the Jeep. I think it might have been when I first got it and I didn't really know a whole lot about it. Since then, I think I threw the factory hitchback on. It is 1.25 inches. I've been looking all over trying to find a 2-inch. At this point, I'm just putting 1.25 inches on it, and if I get an off-road bumper, then it will have a 2-inch on it. I did put the rear seat from the red Jeep that I had. The guy that I bought this from gave me the seat back, so I had that put in. I actually had to weld it in, so that was really terrible. I went ahead and put 4 Sony speakers in, and I replaced the head unit with just a really cheap $20 Walmart one. I ended up buying the carpet back from the red Jeep for this Jeep and put it in, and ended up deciding that I didn't like it, even though I thought I did. So I do have a complete carpet set. If anybody's interested, just comment and let me know. I am in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Or I could probably even ship, so just let me know if you're looking for black carpet. I put limb risers on, and honestly, I don't have high hopes that they would work, but I thought they looked really cool, and I paid like 30 bucks. They're for a JK, but they fit perfectly fine on the TJ, and the JK ones were $30 on eBay, while the TJs were $70. But I was still able to make it work. I attached them to my light bar and had no problems with that. I did spark plugs, again, because I had a hard start and I found oil in the spark plugs. So we don't know if that's if it's a valve gasket or if it's a head gasket leaking into it. So we may be doing a head gasket, or I might try to do the head gasket stop leak, but I'm not jumping there yet. We think maybe it would be better to actually replace the gasket so I could actually clean the head and basically know more about the engine. So that may be coming in a future video. I did put I had some death wobble, and I was trying to avoid it from the very beginning by doing what you shouldn't do, and I replaced the steering dampener. Well, death wobble came back, so I went ahead and replaced all the steering ball joints. So I had my I don't quite remember all the names. I did know all the names for all the different bars in the front. We replaced all of them except for the bottom one, because this is actually an aftermarket one, which is thicker. So we kept that, but we did replace the ends on it, and I replaced the track bar. I've still got death wobble. So I think what it is the bolt that attaches to the axle from the track bar I think there's some play in that. And so I just need to, I was reading the forums, and there's some people saying that you should be able to replace that bolt, drill out the mounting hole, and put a bigger bolt in the track bar, and that should help death wobble. So I am going to do that probably this week. I did go ahead and replace the steering gearbox, and I wasn't happy about that one, but I took it in for an alignment after the ball joints, and I had them do it, and they said that the gearbox was bad. So, well, I replaced that and then got it realigned. But other than that, steering's doing great. My steering dampener, I took it off to see if it was like really shot. It still has quite a bit of resistance in it, so it's good for the moment, but I am interested in doing maybe like a dual steering dampener. I think there's some that has like 2 on this side, or you can do ones that go 1 on each side of the front. I need to do a little bit more research on that. Some of you guys commented on my last video about the oil or gas spraying out of the exhaust, and it could be an upstream O2 sensor. So I'm going to go ahead and order both of them tonight and then get those installed. I have LED turn signals front and back on this Jeep, and after doing a lot of reading on forums, I had hyperblink, and I tried putting in a I want to call it like a resistor. It was a orange little metal wiring thing that typically helps with, I had it around here. I tried installing these on the front blinkers and it did nothing. So I was reading some more on forums, and the relay that is underneath of the steering wheel that goes to the blinkers, the reason it's hyperblinking is there's not enough voltage going to the blinkers, so it thinks a bulb is burned out. So you can actually take the relay out and actually scratch it on the back side. You open up the relay and you can scratch a connector on it and basically break it, and hyperblink goes away. So yeah, and it helped everywhere. All the hyperblink is gone and I don't have to worry about it anymore. I guess they sell relays that actually cut hyperblinking off for like 20 bucks, or you can just cut it off yourself. I did get my best seats installed. I had to weld up some brackets for that. Yeah, it went fine. It was not the easiest job, but they don't lean forward, they don't lean back. But I did figure out that underneath of the seat, there is a lever that you can pull and the whole seat will lean forward so somebody can get in the back, which is good. I also don't have a speedometer in this Jeep, and it's because I have a mega short slip yoke eliminator, and that took me a while to figure out what that was called. What it is basically, because it's lifted, they put a yoke eliminator in it and put a different rear drive shaft in it to, I guess it's better for off-road performance as well as for lifting it, whatever. So they installed that, and it turned the speedometer from a gear driven speedometer to a electric. Well, it's wired up correctly, except for when you do that, you have to convert the electronic back into a gear driven signal for the speedometer to work. Well, I just found that out last night, and you basically buy a converter box that you wire in and you can get your speedometer back. So I might be making a video of that if I choose to buy it. It's like $100, which is a little expensive when I could just use my phone as a speedometer, which is what we have been doing. Other than that, I don't think I've done much to the Jeep. I took it out for a fairly decent drive the other day of like 30 miles, and it did great. It only death wobbled on, no, it didn't death wobble on me that time. I only have death wobble at 33 miles per hour. Typically it happens when I'm speeding up to get on an on-ramp to a highway. Other than that, the Jeep is doing great. I'm actually thinking about possibly daily driving it unless I need my truck, and then I would drive my truck. So overall, I really like the Jeep. It's not the most comfortable thing to drive, but it's fun. And I've never really had a fun thing to drive. I mean, I have a Corvette, but Katie drives that, and I almost never drive it. On the weekends, I might drive it, but since I got the Jeep, I haven't drove the Corvette in probably a month. And it sucks because I really like the Corvette, but a fast car really isn't my thing. I like lifted, scary Jeep things and lifted trucks that go really slow. I pull trailers almost every day, so I'm just a slow driver to begin with. So there's that. But what I did want to show you guys is the difference between an eBay $50 fuel pump and a O'Reilly's $200 fuel pump. Let me go ahead and flip you guys over so we can get a little bit closer on how they look. And then there's the eBay fuel pump. When you're installing the fuel pump, you really want to make sure that that thing is sitting on the tank correctly. When I tried putting the yellow ring on it, I had some serious trouble lining it up, and somehow that ring slipped into the gas tank. And so I ended up dropping it again that same evening, which was not very fun. I got it to go on a whole lot easier the second time, but it was still reading incorrectly. And I did confirm, I do have a 19-gallon tank on this Jeep, which if you're wondering how you can confirm if you have a 15-gallon or a 19-gallon, let me turn this. There is a number here. Let me see if we can zoom in on it. Probably not in this lighting. Maybe? Possibly not. But if you can read on forums, you can look at that pretty easily and tell you if you have a 19 or a 15-gallon. I supposedly bought the 19-gallon fuel pump, but it was still acting up, and I just was done with it. I was worried that if it was acting up now, that if I go off-roading, it could just die on me. So I didn't want to take that chance, so I just went ahead and bought a new one. And the eBay one, all plastic, quite a bit of open space on it. The O'Reilly's one is a metal housing with a whole lot less space in this distance compared to that one. It has a much bigger filter on the bottom than that one does. And honestly, that just looks a whole lot better. And then this has a bracket that holds the sending unit down. So you basically get what you pay for. I really wanted a Bosch because I didn't want to deal with this again, but that's what I got. So I'm hoping that it works and I don't have any problems with it. So I'm going to go ahead and set the pump in it, get the ring on. You guys don't want to see that, I'm sure. And then hopefully throw the tank up, and then I will bring you guys along to see what the startup does. With the old pump, when I would start it, once I get it starting, I would shut it off and it would fire right back up. And it would do that as many times as I wanted. But when I let it sit for like a minute or a minute and a half, it would have hard cranking again, even though it's a new pump and a new sending unit. So that was my problem. And at first we thought maybe it was spark plugs and it was oil in the spark plug things. And so I just decided I was going to do a new fuel pump and hope that that fixes the problem. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead, throw that fuel pump in and see what happens when we fire it up. Well, guys, I got that fuel pump installed. It was horrible. Coming out is a whole lot easier than going back in. I ended up snapping the vent pipe Y piece of plastic. Tried fixing it. While installing it, I broke it again. So it's something I'm going to have to see if I can get from a local auto parts store or home repair store. I did go ahead and start the vehicle. It ran fine. I decided to wait and try it again. It's been about 11 minutes. Mason came out to help me finish installing the pump towards the end.
I got concerned. You guys didn't see it, but he was being a crazy man and had about 3 fuel pumps, all torn apart, mismatched, just putting them together.
Well, I wasn't going to tell them.
He needed help.
The new fuel pump didn't fit correctly. And while trying to push on it, I snapped it. And I was very frustrated by that and pulled it out. And at the OEM one, the one that was in the vehicle, because I never threw it away, I was going to, and it was an identical match. So I was able to swap over the part that I broke and made it fit. For some reason, the second time it fit perfectly fine. I must have just not had it lined up the right way. There are 2 arrows on the top that you line up. Well, one's an arrow, the other one's a line. I thought I had it in the correct spot the first time, but apparently I didn't. So that's what Mason was referring to. So it's been about 12 minutes since the vehicle last ran. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can start it now. So it still hesitated to start. Started a lot faster.
I mean, it's definitely better than it was.
Yeah. We went ahead and cleaned the throttle body and air intake as well. Just kind of wiped it out. There was a little bit of oil gunk in it, so I probably should look at getting an oil catch can. The RPMs on the Jeep is bouncing just a little bit. It was doing that earlier today as well. All right, guys, so we let the Jeep sit a little bit longer, and it was about 15 minutes, and it seemed to have fired up just fine. So hopefully that solved my problem, and the Jeep is still sitting very pretty. It looks very good in that very tight space in my garage. By the end of me owning this Jeep, I'm probably gonna have to do some sheetrock repair. I left the hitch on the Jeep on accident today and put a hole in the wall. So it's always reassuring that I... Barrel blasting! Oh, that scared me. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will catch you guys in the next video. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and thank you guys so very much. Let me know if you know something. Bye.